Stop everything you're doing right now. What I'm about to expose will absolutely destroy everything you thought you knew about one of WWE's most beloved power couples. The wrestling world is being rocked to its absolute core, and the mainstream wrestling media is trying desperately to keep you in the dark about what's really happening behind the curtain. Jimmy Uso and Naomi, the couple that fans have celebrated for years, the partnership that seemed unbreakable, the relationship that inspired countless wrestling fans around the world, might be facing their biggest challenge yet, and the truth is far more complicated than anyone could have imagined. Before we dive deep into this explosive situation, I need you to do something crucial right now. Smash the like button if you're a true wrestling fan who demands the real story, not the sanitized corporate version. Subscribe to Wrestling Newsletter because we're the only channel brave enough to tell you what's actually happening in the world of professional wrestling. Hit that notification bell because this story is developing faster than a Roman Reigns spear, and you don't want to miss a single update. Now, let me tell you something that will blow your mind. The relationship dynamics between Jimmy Uso and Naomi have been under microscopic scrutiny ever since both superstars made massive career decisions that shocked the wrestling world. And what the WWE Universe is witnessing right now might be the most complicated relationship situation in modern wrestling history. We're talking about two incredibly talented performers who built their careers together, supported each other through unimaginable challenges, and created a legacy that transcends the squared circle. But recent developments have fans questioning everything. Let's rewind and talk about how we got here, because understanding the full context is absolutely critical. Jimmy Uso, one half of the legendary Usos tag team, has been an integral part of WWE's most dominant faction in recent memory, the Bloodline. Alongside his twin brother G, his cousin Roman Reigns, and Solo Sikoa, Jimmy helped create storylines that will be studied in wrestling schools for generations. The brotherhood, the family drama, the internal conflicts, it was wrestling storytelling at its absolute finest. Meanwhile, Naomi, the glow-in-the-dark sensation who lit up WWE programming with her incredible athleticism and undeniable charisma, made headlines when she and Sasha Banks walked out of WWE in May 2022. That moment sent shockwaves through the entire industry. Two top female performers, fed up with creative decisions and feeling disrespected, literally walked away from guaranteed money and main roster exposure. That takes courage that most wrestlers simply don't possess. Trivia question for the comments section: do you remember what championship match Naomi and Sasha Banks walked out of WWE during? Drop your answer below and let's see who the real wrestling historians are. But here's where things get absolutely insane, and this is the part that has the entire wrestling world talking. After Naomi's departure from WWE, she eventually found herself in AEW, competing as Trinity. She joined forces with Mercedes Moné, formerly Sasha Banks, and continued to showcase the incredible talent that made her a star in the first place. Meanwhile, Jimmy remained in WWE, continuing the Bloodline saga that dominated WWE programming for literal years. Now imagine the pressure on a relationship when both partners are in different wrestling promotions, working completely different schedules, dealing with entirely different corporate cultures, and facing constant scrutiny from millions of fans worldwide. The geographical separation alone would challenge any relationship, but when you add the intense pressure of professional wrestling, the constant travel, the physical demands, and the emotional toll of performing at the highest level, it creates a perfect storm of relationship challenges. The wrestling community has been speculating for months about how Jimmy and Naomi were managing their unprecedented situation. Some fans pointed to their social media activity, or lack thereof, as evidence of relationship troubles. Others noted that public appearances together became increasingly rare. Wrestling insiders whispered about the strain of maintaining a marriage when both partners are committed to competing wrestling organizations with dramatically different philosophies and schedules. But let me tell you something that's going to absolutely floor you: the situation is far more nuanced than simple divorce rumors or relationship drama. What we're actually witnessing is a masterclass in how professional wrestling's demanding lifestyle impacts personal relationships, and how two incredibly dedicated performers navigate the impossible balance between career ambitions and personal happiness. Jimmy Uso's journey through the Bloodline storyline has been nothing short of spectacular. From the initial family unity, through the tensions with G, the conflicts with Roman, and eventually the explosive fracturing of the entire faction, Jimmy's character work has been phenomenal. He's shown vulnerability, strength, loyalty, and eventually the courage to stand against Roman's tyrannical control. This wasn't just wrestling, this was Emmy-worthy dramatic storytelling that happened to involve body slams and super kicks. Meanwhile, Trinity in AEW has been absolutely killing it. Her matches have been praised by critics and fans alike. She's proven that her talents extend far beyond the WWE system, and she's shown that sometimes taking a risk and betting on yourself is the right move. Her chemistry with Mercedes Moné has created memorable moments, and her presence has elevated AEW's women's division in ways that can't be overstated. Trivia question: what was Naomi's finisher called in WWE before she became Trinity in AEW? Let me know in the comments if you remember this iconic move. Now, here's where we need to separate fact from fiction. because the internet wrestling community has a tendency to run wild with speculation and present rumors as confirmed facts. The truth about Jimmy and Naomi's relationship status is far more private than what sensationalist headlines would have you believe. What we do know is that both performers have been incredibly focused on their respective careers, and that focus requires sacrifices that most people couldn't even comprehend. Think about the reality of their situation for just a moment. Jimmy's performing on SmackDown, possibly Raw, doing premium live events for WWE, maintaining a grueling travel schedule that takes him across North America and internationally. Trinity's doing the same thing but for AEW, different cities, different events, different promotional obligations. When exactly are these two supposed to have quality time together? When are they supposed to maintain the kind of emotional connection that healthy relationships require? The wrestling industry has a notorious history of destroying relationships. The divorce rate among professional wrestlers is significantly higher than the general population, and that's not a coincidence. The combination of constant travel, physical exhaustion, emotional stress, and the presence of thousands of attractive people in incredible physical condition creates relationship challenges that most people never have to navigate. But here's what makes Jimmy and Naomi's situation even more complicated. They're not just dealing with normal wrestling industry pressures. They're dealing with the unprecedented situation of being married while working for competing wrestling promotions. There's no roadmap for this. There's no relationship counselor who specializes in "my spouse works for the competition and we're both under intense public scrutiny 24/7. Let me share something that most casual fans don't understand. The loyalty and commitment required by major wrestling promotions can create impossible situations for wrestlers' personal relationships. WWE has certain expectations about how contracted talent represents the company. AEW has its own corporate culture and expectations. When a married couple is split between these organizations, every social media post, every public appearance, every interview becomes a potential minefield. Trivia question: Jimmy Uso is part of wrestling royalty. Can you name his famous father and wrestling dynasty he comes from? Drop that wrestling knowledge in the comments. The bloodline storyline that dominated WWE for years wasn't just a storyline for Jimmy, it was his life. He was living and breathing that character, working multiple times per week, doing media appearances, representing WWE at corporate functions. That level of commitment doesn't leave much room for personal life, and when your spouse is doing the exact same thing but for a different company, the math just doesn't add up to quality time together. Now let's talk about what actually happens when wrestling couples face relationship challenges, because the public scrutiny makes everything exponentially worse. Every social media interaction gets analyzed by millions of fans. Every photo that doesn't include their spouse becomes evidence of relationship troubles. Every vague tweet gets interpreted as a cry for help or a subliminal message. The pressure is absolutely unbearable. I've studied countless wrestling relationships over the years, and one pattern emerges consistently: the couples who survive are the ones who can maintain clear boundaries between their professional and personal lives. But how do you maintain those boundaries when your professional life is your personal life? When your character on television bleeds into your real personality? When fans demand authenticity and transparency but also expect you to maintain kayfabe? The situation with Jimmy and Naomi represents a broader conversation that the wrestling industry desperately needs to have. How do we support our performers' mental health and personal relationships while maintaining the demanding schedules and expectations that make professional wrestling the spectacle that fans love? It's a question without easy answers, and it's a challenge that affects every single performer in the industry. Here's something that will absolutely shock you: the number of wrestlers who've spoken privately about relationship struggles is staggering. But very few feel comfortable discussing these challenges publicly because the wrestling industry still maintains a culture of toughness and invulnerability. Admitting that your personal life is suffering feels like showing weakness, and in an industry built on perceived strength, weakness can cost you opportunities and money. Let me break down exactly why the Jimmy and Naomi situation has captivated wrestling fans worldwide. It's not just about celebrity gossip or relationship drama, it's about two incredibly talented performers who represent the best of what professional wrestling can be, facing challenges that expose the harsh realities behind the spectacle we watch every week. Jimmy Uso's character evolution through the Bloodline storyline has been masterful. We've watched him go from loyal soldier to conflicted brother to independent performer who finally found the courage to stand up for himself. That character journey resonated with millions of fans because it felt real. The emotional beats, the family conflicts, the internal struggles, Jimmy made us believe every single moment. Trinity in AEW has similarly impressed fans with her reinvention. She didn't just change companies and coast on her established reputation, she worked to prove herself in a new environment, with new opponents, under new creative direction. She's shown that she's far more than just Naomi from WWE, she's a complete performer who can adapt and thrive anywhere. Trivia question: the Usos have held tag team championships multiple times, can you name their finishing move? Let's see those wrestling IQs in the comments. But both of these incredible career achievements come with costs that fans rarely consider. The physical toll of performing at the highest level, the mental exhaustion of constant travel, the emotional strain of living your life under public scrutiny, these factors accumulate and create pressure that would break most people. And when you add relationship challenges on top of everything else, it becomes almost impossible to maintain balance. The wrestling industry is slowly evolving to recognize the importance of mental health and work-life balance, but it's a painfully slow evolution. WWE has made some improvements with their schedule, reducing the number of live events and giving performers more time off. AEW has tried to create a more flexible working environment that respects performers' needs outside of wrestling, but neither company has fully solved the fundamental challenge. Professional wrestling demands sacrifice, and that sacrifice often comes at the expense of personal relationships. Now let's address something that needs to be said loudly and clearly. Regardless of what's happening in Jimmy and Naomi's personal relationship, both performers deserve privacy and respect. The wrestling community has a terrible habit of treating performers' personal lives as entertainment, forgetting that these are real people with real emotions dealing with real challenges. Just because someone performs in front of millions doesn't mean they forfeit their right to handle personal matters privately. The speculation and rumors that circulate online about wrestling relationships often do far more harm than good. False information spreads rapidly, becomes accepted as truth, and can cause real damage to real people's lives. As wrestling fans, we need to be better about respecting boundaries and not demanding access to every aspect of our favorite performers' personal lives. Here's what we should be focusing on instead: celebrating the incredible talent that both Jimmy Uso and Trinity bring to professional wrestling. Jimmy's contributions to the Bloodline storyline helped create one of the most compelling long-term narratives in modern wrestling history. His work with G as the Usos revolutionized tag team wrestling and set new standards for what tag teams could accomplish. Trinity's impact on women's wrestling cannot be overstated. From her days in WWE to her current run in AEW, she's consistently delivered memorable performances, shown incredible athleticism, and been a positive representative for the industry. Her willingness to stand up for herself and make difficult career decisions has inspired countless other performers to advocate for themselves. Trivia question: before becoming a wrestling power couple, how did Jimmy Uso and Naomi first meet? Was it in WWE developmental, on the main roster, or outside of wrestling? Share your knowledge below. The wrestling industry needs more performers like Jimmy and Trinity who are willing to prioritize their own well-being and make difficult decisions when necessary. Naomi walking out of WWE alongside Sasha Banks wasn't just a tantrum, it was two professionals saying we deserve better treatment and were willing to sacrifice guaranteed money to prove that point. That takes incredible courage. Similarly, Jimmy's willingness to commit fully to the Bloodline storyline, even when it required intense emotional vulnerability and exploring difficult family dynamics, showed his dedication to his craft. He could have just gone through the motions and collected his paycheck, but instead, he gave everything to make that storyline as compelling as possible. The reality is that both Jimmy and Trinity have made significant sacrifices for their careers, and those sacrifices have consequences. Whether those consequences include relationship challenges is ultimately their private business, but what we can acknowledge publicly is that the wrestling industry needs to do better supporting performers' personal lives while maintaining the high-quality product that fans expect. Let me share something that veteran wrestlers have told me privately: the key to surviving in professional wrestling is finding balance, but balance is incredibly difficult to achieve when everything is pulling you in different directions. Your company wants you available for shows. Your family wants you home. Your body needs rest. Your mind needs peace. Your bank account requires you to keep working. How do you balance competing demands that all feel equally important? The situation with Jimmy and Trinity highlights a broader industry problem that affects performers at every level. Independent wrestlers struggle to make enough money while maintaining relationships. Mid-card performers fight for opportunities while sacrificing time with families. Main eventers deal with intense schedules and massive pressure while trying to maintain some semblance of normal personal lives. Nobody in professional wrestling has it easy when it comes to work-life balance. Trivia question: the Usos are known for their incredible entrance theme. Can you name the song or recite any of the lyrics? Let's see who the real USO fans are in the comments. What makes this situation particularly interesting from a professional wrestling perspective is how it reflects the changing landscape of the industry. Years ago, WWE was essentially the only major game in town, so married wrestling couples typically worked for the same company and faced similar schedules. Now, with AEW providing legitimate competition and other promotions offering viable career alternatives, couples might find themselves in different organizations with completely different corporate cultures. This new reality creates opportunities but also challenges. The opportunity is that performers have more control over their careers and can make decisions based on personal fit rather than having no choice. The challenge is that those decisions might create complications in personal relationships that previous generations of wrestlers never had to navigate. Jimmy's loyalty to WWE and the Bloodline storyline makes complete sense from a career perspective. He was positioned as part of the most dominant faction in company history, working main event programs, and building a legacy that will be remembered forever. Why would he walk away from that opportunity? From a professional standpoint, staying was absolutely the right decision. Similarly, Trinity's decision to move to AEW after her WWE departure makes perfect sense. She had proven everything she needed to prove in WWE, felt undervalued by that company's creative team, and saw an opportunity to reinvent herself in a new environment where her talents might be better appreciated. From a professional standpoint, taking that opportunity was brave and smart. But here's the complication that creates relationship challenges. Both performers made the right professional decisions for themselves individually, but those individual decisions might create collective challenges for their relationship. This is the impossible position that many dual-career couples face, multiplied exponentially by the unique demands of professional wrestling. The wrestling community's response to speculation about Jimmy and Trinity's relationship has been mixed. Some fans have been respectful and supportive, understanding that personal matters should remain private. Other fans have unfortunately engaged in speculation, rumor spreading, and inappropriate commentary about their personal lives. This divide reflects broader questions about celebrity culture and privacy in the social media age. Here's something crucial that needs to be understood: wrestlers are performers, not property. Just because we watch them on television doesn't mean we own them or have the right to unlimited access to their personal lives. The boundary between performer and private person should be respected, even when that boundary feels frustrating for fans who want to know everything. Trivia question: can you name the year that the Usos won their first WWE Tag Team Championship? Let's test that wrestling history knowledge in the comments section. The broader conversation about wrestling relationships and industry culture is long overdue. For decades, the wrestling business operated on the principle that performers should sacrifice everything: their health, their relationships, their privacy, their futures, for the business. That mentality created legendary performers but also destroyed countless lives, relationships, and physical bodies. Modern wrestling is slowly moving away from that destructive mentality towards something more sustainable. Companies are beginning to recognize that performers with healthy personal lives, adequate rest, and proper medical care actually perform better than burned-out wrestlers who've sacrificed everything. It's a revolutionary concept in an industry built on the idea that toughness means working through any problem. Jimmy and Trinity's situation, regardless of the specific details, represents this broader industry evolution. Both performers have made career decisions based on their individual needs and professional goals. Both have advocated for themselves in ways that previous generations of wrestlers might not have felt empowered to do. Both continue to deliver exceptional performances despite whatever personal challenges they might be facing. The speculation about their relationship status ultimately misses the larger point: these are two incredibly talented professionals navigating the impossible demands of modern professional wrestling while trying to maintain their personal lives and mental health. Whether they're together, separated, divorced, or happily married is their business, but what is our business as fans is recognizing the systemic industry challenges that create pressure on all wrestling relationships. Let me tell you something that veteran wrestlers have shared with me: the hardest part of the business isn't the physical pain, the injuries, or even the fear of career-ending accidents. The hardest part is watching your personal relationships suffer while you chase your professional dreams. The number of wrestlers who've sacrificed marriages, relationships with their children, and mental health for their careers is staggering and tragic. The wrestling industry glorifies sacrifice without acknowledging the human cost of that sacrifice. We celebrate wrestlers who work through injuries, maintain punishing schedules, and prioritize their careers above everything else. But we rarely ask, what's the actual cost of that dedication? What happens to those wrestlers after their careers end? Do they have healthy relationships? Do their children know them? Have they maintained their mental health? Final trivia question: Jimmy Uso and Uso together are known as the Usos, but what is their official family dynasty called in WWE? Drop your answer if you know your wrestling family trees. The truth about Jimmy Uso and Trinity's relationship will ultimately be determined by them, not by internet speculation or wrestling media coverage. What we as wrestling fans should focus on is supporting both performers' incredible careers, respecting their privacy regarding personal matters, and demanding that the wrestling industry do better at supporting performers' personal lives and mental health. Both Jimmy and Trinity have given us countless memorable moments in professional wrestling. They've entertained millions of fans, inspired future performers, and represented the industry with class and professionalism. They deserve our respect and appreciation, not invasive speculation about their private lives. The wrestling industry stands at a crossroads regarding how it treats performers and their personal relationships. The old mentality of sacrifice everything for the business is slowly dying, replaced by a more sustainable approach that recognizes performers as complete human beings with needs beyond wrestling. Jimmy and Trinity's situation, whatever the specific details might be, represents this broader industry evolution. As wrestling fans, we have a responsibility to support performers not just as entertainment but as human beings deserving of respect, privacy, and understanding. The next time you see speculation about wrestling relationships online, remember that behind every rumor is a real person dealing with real challenges that we can't fully understand from the outside. The future of professional wrestling depends on creating an industry culture that supports performers' complete lives, not just their in-ring performances. Companies that recognize this will attract and retain the best talent. Fans who understand this will create healthier, more positive wrestling communities. The evolution is happening slowly, but it is happening. Jimmy Uso and Trinity represent the best of professional wrestling, talented, dedicated, charismatic performers who've earned everything they've achieved through hard work and perseverance. Whatever challenges they face personally, they deserve our support, respect, and appreciation for the incredible contributions they've made to the industry we all love. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think about the challenges wrestling couples face? How can the industry better support performers' personal lives? Drop your thoughtful comments below, and remember, respect and privacy matter. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Wrestling Newsletter for more in-depth wrestling analysis, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our content. The wrestling world keeps evolving, and we'll be here covering every development with the depth and respect it deserves.